Getting beat on. I realize I don't think I have it anymore because I got the ability to stay in shape, but I don't got the fighting guts, I don't think, anymore.
Mike Tyson ended his legendary boxing career after decades of dominating opponents and wearing the crown like it was custom-made. Not with a triumphant victory, but with a shocking and humbling defeat.
The Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight.
Interesting.
Script.
How so? What do you mean by
It's just
script?
weird. It just
Like scripted in what way?
no, I don't know. I actually really like Jake Paul. It just seems so it's odd, bro.
What brought down the baddest man on the planet? Was it age, injuries, or something else? No, it was money. Tyson's downfall came with a big payday for a scripted fight against a YouTuber half his age. Mike Tyson's career didn't just end, it crashed, and along the way, he was hit with a lawsuit. His once legendary boxing legacy fell apart in front of millions, and it was tough to watch. The epic Mike Tyson, the man who sent heavyweights flying with punches that could break walls, was reduced to struggling against Jake Paul. Yes, Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned boxer, who became Tyson's unexpected opponent.
Later this fall, he is back in the ring at age 58 to pummel a kid from YouTube. Watch Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson live November 15th on Netflix.
With Spicer's no-nonsense intervention, Tyson's deteriorating health, and enough legal drama to fill an entire season of Law and Order, the writing is officially on the wall. Mike Tyson's boxing career is done. Finished. Game over. Boxing analysts who were skeptical from the start now agree Tyson should have hung up his gloves long before Jake Paul ever entered the boxing scene. Sure, Tyson's legacy will always include his terrifying knockout power and his reign as the baddest man on the planet, but let's be real, this awkward lawsuit-filled Jake Paul losing final will forever be part of his story. Whether we like it or not, Tyson will be remembered as both the heavyweight destroyer and the aging fighter who stuck around just a bit too long. And just like that, the final bell has rung on Mike Tyson's legendary boxing career. Not with a knockout, but with a bittersweet mix of love, lawsuits, and life catching up in the ring. In a reality check showdown, love him or hate him, Tyson's legacy will forever punch its way through boxing history. Raw, messy, and absolutely iconic.
Drop his hand down when it was clear as day that Jake's face was wide open to receive it. Bro, this is disappointing.
The internet exploded with conspiracy theories faster than you could say rigged. People bet real money on the fight, expecting Tyson to land some powerful punches, but instead, they saw slow jabs and awkward footwork. The only thing knockout-worthy about this fight was how quickly fans knocked down Tyson's legacy afterward. But if you think this was just about the fight, think again. Tyson's life outside the ring got just as messy. After the bout, his wife, Leia Kiki Spicer, reportedly pulled the plug on his career, prioritizing his health and whatever was left of his legacy. Tyson, meanwhile, seemed confused about retirement. One day, he hinted at a comeback, even playfully calling out Jake Paul's brother Logan. The next day, he said, "I don't know if I'll fight again. It depends on the situation." What situation, Mike?
I'm just fighting to take care of my bills, basically. I don't have the stomach for this kind of no more. I'm more conscious of my children and those guys looking at my appearance. I don't have that ferocity. I'm not an animal anymore.
The saddest part is that this isn't how we were supposed to remember Mike Tyson. We were meant to remember him as the unstoppable force that crushed legends, not as a former champ chasing one last payday against internet stars. Tyson's last fight wasn't just a loss, it was a public humiliation, wrapped in an official-looking scorecard. The numbers told a painful story: 80-72, 79-73, 79-73. A unanimous decision so brutal, it felt like the judges were writing Tyson's boxing obituary in real time. These weren't close rounds. Jake Paul, 31 years younger and far less experienced, dominated from the opening bell to the final minute. Watching Tyson, the man who used to send opponents to another dimension with ease, get outclassed like this was nothing short of heartbreaking.
After I seen him a little bit tired, I didn't want to put too much hurt on him, but I wanted the fans to get a good experience. But there was a point where all of my aggression and like super violence and like I'm gonna knock this guy out and show him, it went away when I wasn't getting hit.
What made the situation worse was that Jake Paul didn't even go full throttle. You could literally see him easing up during the fight, almost as if he was sparing Tyson from an even worse fate. This wasn't about respect, it was about PR management. Knocking out a 58-year-old boxing legend would have turned the internet against Paul faster than you can say cancel culture. Instead, by carrying Tyson through 8 rounds, Paul kept the show going without making things too awkward. But let's be honest, the entire fight was one long, uncomfortable moment. Fans weren't just disappointed, they were heartbroken. This wasn't how Tyson was supposed to go out. Watching him struggle to land punches and absorb jabs from a YouTuber felt surreal, like seeing your childhood hero trip over his shoelaces on live TV. The once indestructible baddest man on the planet now looked like a shadow of himself, moving slower than Wi-Fi on a bad day. It was a harsh reality check, especially for those who still believed Tyson had one last thunderous punch left in him. Spoiler alert, he didn't. But if you thought Tyson's post-fight struggles ended with that humiliating defeat, think again. His toughest rounds were fought outside the ring in courtrooms filled with lawsuits. Just weeks after the fight, Tyson was hit with a $1.6 million lawsuit from Meteor, a Cyprus-based company promoting Rabona Sportsbook and online casino. Their claim: Tyson allegedly breached a promotional contract linked to the fight because Netflix sponsored the event instead, and it got worse. While Tyson was dealing with that mess, Netflix found itself facing a monstrous $50 million class action lawsuit. Apparently, their live stream of the fight was as reliable as Tyson's jab that night. Over 990,000 viewers experienced glitches, blackouts, and buffering so bad they probably thought the fight was being streamed from a dial-up modem. Fans who paid top dollar for the pay-per-view felt cheated and demanded compensation.
Reason, and one reason only, and that is the money. He's getting paid so much money to do this, so that tells me he's getting bought. So again,
Tyson's career didn't end with a knockout punch or a standing ovation. It ended in a courtroom, buried under legal complaints, breach of contract allegations, and class action lawsuits. A legendary boxing career that should have been celebrated was instead tangled in disputes over broken deals and angry fans demanding refunds. Tyson's final opponent wasn't Jake Paul. It was a brutal mix of bad decisions, lawsuits, and shattered reputations, with no belt to save him. After watching her husband struggle through 8 excruciating rounds against Jake Paul, Spicer reportedly drew the line, prioritizing Tyson's health and what remained of his legacy.
People don't understand what a champ he was. Like, he wasn't just the heavyweight champion of the world. He was an executioner. Like,
Truly.
Every fight was just a matter of how long was it going to last.
Tyson's legacy now hangs by a thread thinner than Jake Paul's credibility as a real boxer. Boxing legends like Evander Holyfield and Buster Douglas didn't hold back, condemning the Tyson versus Paul fight as a disgrace to the sport. These fighters faced Tyson in his prime when he was a human wrecking ball, so seeing him reduced to a stumbling version of himself hit harder than Tyson's famous uppercut. Fans who grew up idolizing him were left wondering, is this how we're supposed to remember the most feared boxer of all time? The heartbreaking reality of Tyson's decline is undeniable.
Came out afterwards. He was the first one, obviously, and Mike came out afterwards, and I watched his face. I didn't watch Mike. You would normally watch Mike because he's so charismatic and he's coming. You want to see what he's going to do. And I watched the guy's face, and I watched that confidence bleed from his face instantaneously.
Tyson's reign of terror of the 80s and 90s, when he knocked out opponents in seconds, now feels overshadowed by a misguided comeback that resembled more of a reality TV stunt than a real fight. Even critics called the event elderly abuse rather than a legitimate boxing match, a low blow Tyson couldn't dodge. Let's not sugarcoat it. The fight wasn't about reclaiming boxing glory, it was about cash. Everyone saw it, everyone knew it. The only thing more obvious than Tyson's exhaustion was the paychecks being cashed behind the scenes. Fans left the fight feeling like they paid for a nostalgic trip, only to get stuck on a broken down roller coaster instead.
Friend Mike Tyson tweeted that he almost died over the summer. He said, he had a bunch of blood transfusions, just had to fight to get healthy, and then his performance yesterday against Jake Paul. Just your thoughts on what we saw.
Mike Tyson was right, and I was wrong.
With Spicer's no-nonsense intervention, Tyson's deteriorating health, and enough legal drama to fill an entire season of Law and Order, the writing is officially on the wall. Mike Tyson's boxing career is done. Finished. Game over. Boxing analysts who were skeptical from the start now agree Tyson should have hung up his gloves long before Jake Paul ever entered the boxing scene. Sure, Tyson's legacy will always include his terrifying knockout power and his reign as the baddest man on the planet, but let's be real, this awkward lawsuit-filled Jake Paul losing final will forever be part of his story. Whether we like it or not, Tyson will be remembered as both the heavyweight destroyer and the aging fighter who stuck around just a bit too long. And just like that, the final bell has rung on Mike Tyson's legendary boxing career. Not with a knockout, but with a bittersweet mix of love, lawsuits, and life catching up in the ring. A reality check showdown, love him or hate him, Tyson's legacy will forever punch its way through boxing history. Raw, messy, and absolutely iconic.